Hey everyone, it's Steve from the garden. We have a scorching hot day out here today, but the onions are ready to be harvested, so we'll go ahead and get them pulled out and see what we ended up with. So as you can see here, most of the onions, the tops have all fallen over. I do got one that's deciding to flower here. I'll just cut that one off. Most of them that have fallen over so far are the Pattersons. And a lot of the candies have fallen over too, but there's still some that are a little bit upright yet. And those I'll leave until they do just fall over naturally. So I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling these out. Just kind of harvest some of these. Now the Pattersons don't get quite as big as those candy onions do. And since it's so hot today, I'm gonna just go ahead and lay these on the grass and fold them over, and I'll show you that in a second, just so that the sun can start drying them out a little bit. There's no threat of rain either today or tomorrow, so this will be a good time to get them out. You can see as I go ahead and lay these out, I'm kind of laying them so that the bulb is on the north side and the vegetation is facing south where the sun hits it. And I'm using some of the vegetation to kind of cover the bulbs so that the bulbs don't get sun scalded at all, or don't get like a sunburn, and the vegetation has a chance to get most of the sun and start drying. Now among the Pattersons, I do have a couple oddballs. So I do have like one red onion. That must have been just mixed in with the seed. And I have this one where it's producing a flower. Now that bulb's not overly big, but once they produce a flower like this, you know, this bulb really needs to be used as one of the first ones, you know, to cook with. Because once they flower, they don't last as long in storage. Overall, I'm getting a pretty good consistency in terms of size of the bulbs. Now these are the Pattersons, so they don't get as big as the candy onions do, but that's still a very good sized onion right there, and really good cooking size. So of the Pattersons, I got one relatively small one that still has the upright vegetation, so I'll go ahead and leave that one just as is. And then this last one is about the largest of all the Pattersons. So just a comparison with the size of my hand, that's what we're looking at. So next we'll move on to the candy onions. I'll grab a few of these here on the end. Now I did have a few problems with the candy onions where I had some oddballs, but here's some of the first ones I'm taking out. And that one here is a particularly good size. And I'll show you this size, which is not the biggest one, but I'll do a comparison where I show you this next to that Patterson. Okay, so here on my right hand will be on your left. This is the Patterson, and this is the candy on your right. So you can see, even though this is not the biggest candy onion, it is bigger than the largest of the Pattersons. Now this is some of the largest candy onions I pulled out, not including that very first one I showed you that I compared to the Patterson, but these are quite big. This one is about the largest overall, and that's compared to the size of my hand. So that does it for almost all the onions. There's just a few down there that there's one Patterson and two candies that haven't toppled over on their own, so we'll just let those go. Now you can see there's plenty of weeds inside the bed. So on a day when it's not gonna be quite so hot, I will come in and just weed all this and get all those weeds out of there. And then I'll probably tarp this area so I don't get new weed seeds growing in. Now for the onions that grew from the candy seeds I had saved from last year, you know, that ones that had flowered, they're still growing. The bulbs are kind of a medium size, but they haven't toppled over yet. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let those go until they naturally fall over. So this is what we ended up with for the candy onions. With some of the biggest ones over there in the upper right corner. And for the Pattersons. And then over there, those are the two oddballs, the one that flowered and then the red one. When it comes to curing the onions, I put them up here on the wire shelf with the vegetation hanging off. And with the wire shelving, it allows air to circulate all the way around them and dry out the outer skin. And once this dries out, then I start cutting all that off. And at that point, they'll be ready for storage. All the onions have been harvested now, and they're up on the wire rack to dry out and cure. And the bed's been cleaned up and tarped, keep out the weeds. I had a pretty good onion growing season this year, and I should have plenty of onions to get me through right up until the next harvest next year. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. And until next time, I hope you enjoyed, got something out of this, and we'll see you on the next one.